Good morning, YouTubers. It's Love at Scout 1. I'm playing through these videos now, stuff that I've had bubbling under and some ideas that I've been mulling over in my downtime. This video, as you can see from the title, which should be somewhere there-ish, UK personal carry, UK pen knives, and it's by no means a complete guide. It's just an idiot's perspective, if you like. I've got the UK knives law up in front of me on the internet, and it says knives the law, buying and carrying. So I'm assuming most of you are over 18 and are reasonably right in head. Now the one that sort of applies to this is, it says it is illegal to carry a knife in public without good reason unless it's a knife with a folding blade 3 inches long, 7.62 centimeters or less, e.g. a Swiss Army knife. And then the other bit that I think is quite relevant, it says it is illegal to use any knife in a threatening way, even a legal knife such as a Swiss Army knife. Right, so we'll talk about that in a minute, but basically what they're saying then is you can have a Swiss Army knife and you can carry it, but if you stab somebody with it, then although it's a legal knife, you've committed a crime, which we understand. You know, if you're stabbing anybody with anything, you're committing a crime. My take on that is it's open to a great deal of interpretation, and I'll discuss with you for why. First couple of knives I want to show you are the Spyderco UK pen knife, and it's their legal option derivative. There are one or two different kinds. There is a serrated one. Now the sharpened edge on this, according to Spyderco's website, is 2 15/16. Right, 16th of an inch. Can be interpreted either way, because I've measured that blade, and that blade on my tape measure, which is a reasonably good tape measure, measures 3 inches. So yeah, it's you know, within the realms of legality, and I'm more than sure Spyderco wouldn't start on selling kit in the UK that they thought was illegal. I'm not suggesting that for a moment, but it's just open to interpretation. If you drew that in a public place for a legal, to use it legally, or drew that, which is a Swiss Army knife, which is what they're saying, in a public place to use it legally, there is a lot of room for interpretation there, and that's the thing that I don't fully agree with, and I don't understand. I understand where they're coming from. Like, if you get that out to open a package when you're sat in the car when you've come out of the post office, fair dues. If you draw that and somebody sees you, then they're going to be thinking, hang on a minute, that doesn't look totally legal and totally right. I mean, that's just my view and my interpretation of it. You guys will have your own ideas and will have your own opinions, and that's fine. You're entitled to that, and I'm not saying anybody's, I'm not saying I'm 100% right. I'm not saying anything about that really. It's just, I think it's open to interpretation. Saying that though, when these first came out, I really liked the idea. I liked the knife. They came sharp. I've used them in the field. I've used them for dressing rabbits out once or twice round. Mainly used for what a pen knife's used for, sharpening bits of hazel for making pegs when you're out ferreting, opening feed bags, cutting laces, cutting bits of paracord, bits of baler band, opening feed bags, cutting a sandwich or two. And as a everyday workaday thing, it's a really good knife. I like this leaf shaped bladed one. I think that's really good. I'm not getting into steels and handle materials and all that sort of stuff. There are far better reviews done by people who know more about it than I, but it's a nice light thing. The pocket clips are good. I do like the the one hand opening, and I do like it is sort of formed on the slip joint sort of principle, but it doesn't have that slip joint to lock it. It just sort of the blade is notched, so it just clicks quite positively into the back spring. I do like this area just here where your finger stops the knife basically closing on your hand when you're using it. You do have some scary times when you're maybe cutting a bit of a peg or whittling a peg or whatever, to use it or to make it usable, or just snedding a branch or snedding a stick that you've cut to make a walking stick or make a trap or whatever. A well capable knife, nice quality, but because of that interpretation on blade and blade length, I've kind of fallen out with them, and I've not used them so very much. A Swiss Army knife is a Swiss Army knife. When I were a kid, like I said before, every kid that was in my class had some kind of knife. They had a Swiss Army knife, an Opinel. They had them big silly locking knives that you used to be able to get at Index and an Argos, and made in China. And every kid had a knife for cutting conkers down, for cutting elderberries off trees, for making sticks for dens at break time and stuff. And then I remember my geography master couldn't sharpen a pencil, and he said, "Has anybody got a pocket knife?" And I think out of 18 people in my class, 10 of them had a knife, even lasses. So I don't know if that's because I went to a little country school or whatever. In countryside, then I suppose countryside people pass these things on to the children. I mean, my little man, I'd love to have a pocket knife, but until he reaches a certain age, then unfortunately it's not going to happen. He can have one when he's out with me, but in public or going on camp or whatever, now it's it's hard work, and I feel I feel like he's missing out a little bit. But Swiss Army knife is a really nice thing to keep on your keys. Again, it's open to interpretation if you're getting any bother if you've got to hand your keys in anywhere. Of course, you can't travel on a plane with them. Yeah, so I mean, Swiss Army knife's as good as anything for UK personal carry. This is quite a nice little thing, and I've had quite a few of these and lost them, and battering about in jackets and in front of Land Rovers and hidden under seats and stuff, when you've dropped them. This is the Imperial Schrade, but these were made in Ireland. It's called a worker or a workman or some workhorse or something like that. Little stainless steel blade, sharpens up quite well. Sort of a blow molded polymer sort of handle with a little sort of tab there where you could sort of scratch your initials in or write your initials. And I carried these for a long time. I bought a job lot of them from Attleborough Accessories, and when Attleborough Accessories changed hands, they sold a load off, and they weren't silly money. They were a couple of quid, but it's a good knife to have. That's not imposing at all. It's got a bit more thickness to the blade, and it's a bit sturdier than a Swiss Army knife. But they're good if you ever lay your hands on. Well, it was Imperial Schrade. If you ever lay your hands on their kit, it's worth having, and it's not silly money, but it's it's good quality. The first ukpk knife or UK personal carry knife that I ever saw was this one. It's the Columbia River Knife and Tool, and it's called the Edgie. Now, that to me, I mean, that stays within legal limits at UK law. It's got a nice blade. It's got a very, very funny blade geometry. It's got a flat edge, then a beveled, and then it's got a secondary bevel where it's got like a plain blade grind on it. They call it the Edgie because I don't know if the camera can pick that up. Probably not. In the back of the knife there is a spring-loaded basically guard. It's a piece of spring steel, and behind that spring steel there is a carborundum rod, and every time you close the knife, I don't know if you can hear it, like that grating sound. Well, basically what that does is it sharpens the knife. The idea is very good, the knife is very good. Again, handy for opening packages. It's more a knife that you would probably use if you worked in a packing company, or you worked in the office or whatever, for opening letters and packages and parcels and stuff. It's got quite a sharp tip, but with it having that carborundum stone in, and it having a guard round it, of course the guard has got a number of openings, so it only sharpens certain parts of the blade, which leaves other parts of the blade dull. So basically you've got a wavy blade, if you understand where I'm coming from. And the details that come with the knife said, don't put it on a whetstone, don't sharpen it yourself, don't use sandpaper, etc., etc., which kind of spoils it, and it's gonna wear out in a non-uniformed way. I mean, if you're sharpening a knife and using it for a great period of time, and doing the same thing, then yes, your knife will wear out in a non-uniform way. But this is being sharpened in a non-uniform way. A really great idea, but in my opinion, it loses it in translation a little bit. There's a company in Sheffield called Ibbotson. They make knives for the military. They make them for They make a lot of marine knives, maritime stuff. Marlin spikes and skipper's knives for cutting sails and stuff like that. I've had quite a few Ibbotson knives in my 44-ish years. I don't know if I've got another one on there that I could show you. That's let's have a look. While I'm just undoing this, I will show you this one. This is they call it a sheep's foot, or this is they call it the shepherd. Actually, it's got a sheep's foot blade on it, and I'll just stick that on there while I undo this. UK legal blade. Now that to me is a bit better than, it looks more legal, if anything can look more legal, than a Spyderco. And orange colour again, like I discussed with you before, because I'm a doddering old man and I keep leaving stuff everywhere and keep losing stuff, and bright orange, you can pick it up, and got a decent lanyard hole in there, so I suppose you could stick some paracord through it. But the blade I do like. I've sharpened that quite a few times. You can see the blade profile's not as big as it could be, but these are very good. Thermoplastic handles, very warm to touch, not not out at way money wise. I think that were about 10 or 12 quid from my local agricultural merchants. Made in Sheffield, which is, happy days for me. That's 51 Fox's old stomping ground. Can't go wrong with an Ibbotson, I don't think. Even if you just sort of kept that in your shooting bag, your smock, your workbox, your toolbox, whatever. I think that's got a bit more go in it and a bit more about it than just a sort of a plain Swiss Army knife. The other knife that I was scrabbling around for, and I do apologise for being a bit of an ignoramus, but that's another Ibbotson knife. That's a worker. That's called a worker, and basically all it's called a worker is because it's got a screwdriver and a bottle opener on it, and they're licensed from a company called Roebuck, and they sell engineering equipment and machine tools, but the knives are made by Ibbotson. It's stamped G. Ibbotson Sheffield Limited, stainless, England. So, but I mean that's a good knife. I've got that on my one on my my carabiner EDC. Got a good hook blade on it. That's really for stripping wire, and it is a working knife, is that, but You know, that could be used as a pruning knife. It could be, you know, that quite a lot of knives that I'm seeing now have got this kind of blade geometry, you know, especially folding knives for, you know, for guys using them outdoors. So, you know, good things. I'm just going to briefly show you this knife. This is my personal carry at the moment, which is the Swiss Army Knife Farmer. But I'll do a video on this because I think it's worth just mentioning it on, you know, mentioning it in dispatches on its own. There are some very good reviews on this knife out there by people who know more about Swiss Army knives than I do, but I think this one strikes the happy medium. But I'll do a video on that on its own, and I'll put it up. Right, guys, thank you very much for your interest and your attention today. I'm going to do the fixed blade knife video that I promised for in a video response for Luke at Outdoor Enthusiast 101. I keep promising I'm going to do it, and now I've got a bit of time. I can sit down and do it properly and give it the attention that it deserves. So I'm going to crack on with that now. So I hope that's been of some interest to you. Like I say, it's not gospel, it's just my two penneth, and I hope to see you on the next one. Like, comment and subscribe. Any details, my details are down here somewhere, so please give me a shout and I'll try and assist. Thank you very much. Cheers.